Welcome to Team G503. I'm your host, Scott Schiller, and in this video, we'll be taking apart more of the engine, the GPW engine, and we'll be removing a lot of the bolt-ons, such as the air cleaner and the starter and the generator. Going to be removing the air cleaner assembly. You've got your crossover tube, your hoses, these clamps that goes to the Oaks air cleaner, oil bath air cleaner. I got the carburetor horn here, and I think what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and start taking this off here. So I'll undo the clamp from the carburetor, drop that down. We'll just pop off the air horn, and we seem to have a broken crossover tube. The bracket's broke that goes to the top of the head, so that's going to make this really easy. I'm just going to go ahead and take this whole assembly off and then disassemble it in pieces on the floor. Pull that right off there. See where it's broke? Right here. And I don't know what that's all about. It looks like a temperature gauge wire all coiled up there. Huh, interesting. So I've got this disassembled. There's your carb air horn. There, you got the rubber gasket and the clamp. Those are incorrect clamps, but we'll fix that later and replace those. You got your short hose. You got your long hose. And then you've got, well, this one's a broken crossover tube. And that broke off right there. So those are the pieces of that assembly. So seeing that we're supposed to check this oil level every day, check daily, I'm going to go ahead and remove the air filter assembly, but I'm going to show you how to take this bolt off on the bottom. Basically, you just got two spring clips on either side here with these little handles on them. Hold on to the cup. Unclip those, and out it comes. And this one is low on oil, but there's the oil inside. We'll set that aside to dispose of that properly. And we're dripping all over the place. But then you're just going to take these wing nuts off, the brackets on the firewall. There's two here, two on the side here, and that one's bent. We'll save these and clean them up. Maybe we can straighten that one up there. See, that one's all squished and bent. Somebody probably got on that with a pair of pliers or something at some time. Got a ground strap here. I've never seen so many ground straps in my life. That's an important thing we'll talk about in the future. And this will come right off of here. There we go. Out comes the air filter. And you'll see the element that's inside here. And again, got a wing nut right there. And dripping oil. I'll drip the oil into the pan here. That screws loose. And out comes the element, or the filter. And there you see the inside of your actual housing. So that's removed. And we'll put that aside, clean it up, paint it a little bit, and get rid of that used oil. Just for sakes of discussion, you look at the inside there, you see all that dirt and that sludge that's in the bottom of that. So it does do its job. It takes the particles, out of the air it takes in and collects some there in the oil. That nastiness. We'll clean this up and set it aside. I'm going to be removing this oil filter canister next, and there's some interesting things going on here. Number one, the oil lines are all frayed. Interesting enough, though, the inlet line, as I showed in different videos, is not even hooked up correctly. It's supposed to be on the side of the block, right down there. I don't know if you can see this. Right there. I apologize, it's dark down in there, but there's a port on the side of the block that's been a bolt has been put into to block it. So that's not even hooked up correctly. However, I'm going to take it apart and see what's going on inside. On the top of the canister, you've got this nut, and I've already loosened it, but you can just go ahead and loosen it. It's spring-loaded and a little washer in there. And this is not the correct canister for a Willys MB. It looks like a CJ2A perhaps. But inside, you've got your cap, and inside, you've got a little gasket, and then you've got this pull-up filter that pulls out of there like that. There and there you go. There is oil in there, which is kind of amazing, seeing that the lines aren't hooked up correctly. One of them's not even hooked up. We'll set this on a rag here. And inside there's probably a good cup full of oil. I'm going to go ahead and just take this rotten hose off of here. I've already got the nut loose. Unscrew them. And here's something for you Ford guys, seeing that this is a GPW engine. You got an F-mark bolt right there and a bracket. Oh boy. Go ahead and take this bottom hose off, and I've cut myself a little catch cup out of a Gatorade bottle and put a rag down just so the little bit of oil that's in there just doesn't go everywhere and fly all the engine to the floor. Go ahead and take this off. The bracket that holds the oil canister is on with nuts that are on the studs that hold the head on. So these have got some torque on them, so you might want to use a breaker wrench. You might have to loosen those up. But I'm going to go ahead and take these 3 nuts off these studs, and then that bracket will lift right off, and then the whole assembly will come off with it. Got the 3 nuts off the studs, and this just lifts out like that. And there we've got, you can see the oil in there. And we'll just pour that into a little cup, and that goes into the vat to be recycled. And the last thing we have to do is take this hose, which would be the outlet hose, off of the timing cover. It's right down in there. This coil got a little attention in one of my other posts and videos, and it's an Ampco coiled super coil, 6 volt. You see the leads on the top that I'll be removing. And then you've got a bolt on the back side of the bracket, and you've got a nut on the front side of the bracket, right there. And there's no coil bracket, so to say. That's all one self-contained thing. So normally you'd have a bracket, a coil bracket that would attach there, and you'd have your 6-volt coil. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the coil wire. Ooh, that's not good. Pulled right out of there. Well, we can take that out later and fix that with a pair of needle nose or something. Set that aside. We'll label that. And then you've got your positive side and your negative side. And all you do is remove the 3/8 inch nut from the top. And then I'll label these positive side, negative side. And then we'll take out the 2 bolts that go to the block. And then we can remove that whole coil. Little tip I can give you about these little bolts and nuts and stuff. When you start getting to the end of the thread, you should be able to feel it. I like to stop and then take them off with my fingers if I can, because I have a bad tendency of dropping these little nuts exactly where they're not supposed to go. So I get down here and get my fingers on it at the last couple threads. We got a washer on there, and out it comes. And remove your wire. And then I like to put the nut right back on there. Don't set it on the bench so it can get knocked down and thrown around and you lose it and you got to find other ones. Move to the back one next. Getting to the nut on the back side of this coil is a little difficult because of the width here of these cooling fans. I can't get a socket in there. So the only thing I'm going to be able to do is put my 7/16 inch wrench back in there and just slowly go at it. And I'm not going to film all that process. It'll probably take a few minutes because you can only turn the bolt like 1/8 of a turn at a time. But we'll pull those 2 bolts and off that coil will come. I'm going to be removing the generator next. I want to show you the bolt locations for mounting the generator. That's the front side. And those are special bolts and they've got little grommets in them. We'll walk around the back here. You see the location on the bracket. That's actually mounted to the block on a bracket that you can see back in there. And note the ground straps again. Many, many ground straps. And then you've got your adjusting arm up front. So I'm just going to go ahead and loosen these bolts up and take this generator out. The first thing I'm going to do is loosen this nut up and this bolt on the adjusting arm so I can move that generator forward and back. And I'll also have to loosen that bolt so it kind of gives it a little play. I can move it in and out of here and take the fan belt off. So go ahead and do that. Get them loose. Come back here on this. Just using a pair of sockets here, either side. Undo this bolt. And this generator is not light, so you want to watch your hands around here. That thing drops on you or you drop it, it's not going to feel good. So now that I've got both of the mounting bolts loose enough where I can take them out by hand, I'm going to reach underneath them and hold this generator up. It's heavy. And I'm going to remove the front bolt. And there's washers in there, so be careful not to drop them. Keep my hands on it. Then I'll remove this rear bolt. Grab a hold of the generator, and out it comes. Zoom in here a little bit on the bracket. That's the actual mounting bracket that mounts with the bolts to the actual block of the engine. And here you got a bolt here through your rubber grommet. I don't believe that bolt is correct. I believe somebody replaced that. The front one is the one we're after. It's got the shoulder on it there for inside the rubber grommet, which this one in the front's all rotten on this one. So we'll be replacing those. And now we've got the starter that's going to be really, really easy to get at. And all you really have to do is that top bolt there, the bottom bolt there, and the bracket bolt that goes to the block there. And we can pull the starter out. You have to remove this lead. They've got a solenoid setup on this Jeep. It's not the floor starter setup. This has been altered and changed. Going to remove the nut from the top of the starter here on this stud. Out he comes. Again, this wire goes to the solenoid back here. I'll be changing that out during the project. Put your nut back on the stud. Don't want to lose them. I'm going to go ahead and remove the bolt from the L bracket that goes to the block. Come right out of there. Beautiful. And then I'm going to move to the two bolts on the back side here that go into the bell housing. Got the top one out. We'll move down to the bottom. Remove that bolt. And remove the bolt from the side of the block with the L bracket. And the ground strap's still here. Get that out of the way. And again, I'm tagging and bagging all these bolts and parts in a bag that's marked starter, of course. And hopefully we can pull them right out. And there's your starter removed. Something interesting I just found out about this starter after I wiped it down a little bit. It's a GPW starter. And that does not go in our MB project. But I figure you guys like to see that. It's amazing how different parts from the Fords and the MBs got mixed up. Or I shouldn't say mixed up. I should say they got used on each other's vehicles. That's a nice one. That's a keeper. Well, that's it for this time. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed it. You can subscribe to these videos. We're keeping them all archived on a special YouTube channel called Team G503. A special thank you to Ron Fitzpatrick and Ron Fitzpatrick Jeep Parts. Until next time, keep it safe and happy Jeeping.